Time out. Time out. Time. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Lara, can you remember all these?
Yeah, well, I'll give it a shot. The moratorium. It's interesting you asked about the moratorium because there was 2 instances when I was on council whether I would actually approve a moratorium, which I voted no both times. And the reason why is what Mr. Johnson just said, alluded to, is it's symbolical. We have to think out at a bigger picture on this question because it is only symbolical. We use 1% of the water in the valley. 1%. We do a really good job at conserving water already. So I think that we need to reach out to the other agencies that are using more water and figure out ways to conserve. And that, I think, ties back to the question of what would you do in the valley. There's a large amount of percentage that's used in agriculture. I think we need to start working with our agriculture to figure out other methods, alternative measures on sinking the water or using other irrigation systems, or even, I'm a big believer on doing things either biodynamic way or else permaculture way, because it includes different water features that a lot of people don't know actually conserves water. You use less water to encourage the plant material. So there's other alternative measures. I was working on that with the fellow council members here on already alternative water measures when I was on council. I still keep working on those measures through the Green Coalition. We do a lot of educational workshops, and we work with other jurisdictions like the Ventura River Water District to do that. So I'm actively participating in all these areas as we speak. So,
thank you, Mr. Lara. Mr. Haney.
So again, there's a lot of questions rolled into one. I think we need to recognize that we're in a stage 3 right now, and we're conserving as if we were in a stage 4. So we're conserving at a 40% clip as a community, which is tremendous. I know Casitas is eventually going to go to a stage 4. We will more than likely, as a community, we're already there. I'm sure that as we head into next year, if we don't get any rainfall, we're going to be in a stage 5. And I don't know if all of you are aware of what a stage 5 is going to look like, but it's going to destroy this community. We need to do everything that we can personally and as a council and as a city to be thinking of more ways to conserve. But again, we're ahead of that curve. We're already looking at stormwater capture and other means I'm losing track of the word I wanted to use, but we're already looking at other ways to capture water in this community. We've used Sierra Watershed Management, or Progressive, I believe. They've changed their name a couple times now. And we have Carnegie Mellon, which is coming to the city, which is going to help us look at at some of those issues.
Well, here we are at a point of disagreement, which is always fun. I'm against a moratorium for the following reasons. It's a baseball bat, not a scalpel. And when you do things like a moratorium, you have great potential for unintended consequences. We have eyesore vacant buildings that have been recently renovated that have brought new, well-paying jobs into this community. I give you the example of Boku. We have a bowling alley that's coming up for a look in terms of a design review permit. Again, possibly new jobs. And on top of that, what new development can mean is in a net zero situation, forget the de minimis impact that the city has on demand as a whole. We can build in things like net zero structures where there's a demonstrated investment in conservation, either city or countywide, to offset any increase of water there is. So there's a net zero of consumption with increased jobs. Why are we having a problem with the school system? Why are we having problems with housing? One of the issues, again, is people being able to have well-paying jobs in this community, not having to commute, get the commuting percentages down. The problem, again, with stopping development as opposed to regulating development in a smart way is the unintended consequences where we sacrifice other goals that we value, like bringing more good jobs rather than just service jobs into this community.
Thank you, Mr. Warwick. Mr. Blatz?
Well, there's definitely a drought emergency, and we're dealing with it. But I got to tell you, as somebody who litigated at the Public Utility Commission and dealt with water usage in Ojai, because thank God we're out of the Public Utility Commission regulation scheme anymore, but they had a real hard time figuring out what to do with Ojai, because at the same time the State Water Resource Control Board got involved and the Groundwater Management Act passed, 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 Groundwater Management